And now we've got a dream trawler coming in. It gets Cascade. Oh my god, if you could imagine a dream trawler that gets any better, let's just Cascade into our Mending of Dominaria. And that's the game. What a way to finish it, huh? Runaway Team Kin winning the league 3-0 from Chris. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Welcome to Cast
Hello, everybody. Welcome on into the show. Welcome in each and every one of you, all you wizards, all you elves, all you ents, and all you horses, I guess. I don't know. Welcome to Cast Down. This is your weekly podcast rundown of the Arena Gauntlet League. I'm your king with the ring, your guide through the Shire, your House Markov Patriarch, your Sinkwater, your Bone Splinters if you're into the side events. I'm your 7-time top 16 finisher, your 1-time top 8er, and your 1-time league champion. That's right, put me in, coach. Give me a chance and I'll give it my all, and we got it done. Me and my good buddy John P. took down the Neon Dynasty Partners League. Are we nearly 2 weeks into the next league and still riding that high? Maybe we are. But I don't pour my blood, sweat, and tears into making this podcast each and every week for you fine folks to not talk about how we got there. So let's begin the journey.
The ring is evil. It will corrupt and destroy anyone who wears it. What will you do with the One Ring, Frodo?
Maybe you're all sick of hearing about a past league. The Neon Dynasty Partners League is in the past. You might be thinking, again with this? You're probably saying to yourself, well, I'm feeling good about it, and I've got the microphone, so here we all are. But I really did just want to thank my partner, John P., for such an awesome league. The pressure really was just all on him. You know, he had won a previous league. He has a few other accolades that he might mention from time to time, and he had to pilot the good deck. You know, the good deck has the pressure to rack up all those wins. Me piloting our quote unquote bad deck, that's easy street, right? That's low pressure. Any win is gravy. Pat yourself on the back. You did a great job. But really, it was teamwork all the way. I think we only played 3 matches without each other. And we really had great discussions about every aspect of the deck building and the gameplay. No exaggeration for me. I guess I'd level up my game probably more in those 3 weeks than maybe the last 3 years of playing. So next time a partner league comes around, that will be my main suggestion. Set aside as much time as you can to work and play with your partner. I think you'll learn a lot about your play and a lot about your partner's play. For instance, the timer really stresses John out. Who knew? And just in the happenstance of all of it coming together, Bob stepped into the stream to stream the event and followed me the whole way through from the draft to all 3 matches, including comments from the chat. So I had the chance to go back and watch it, revel in the victory, and it was super fun for me. And now, with my platform on the podcast, I have the opportunity to defend each and every decision that was questioned. Okay, so starting with Pack 1. There were some strong opinions about not picking the dual lands highly enough, and I totally agree with that. There were some that I should have made earlier picks, and it was actually something John and I game planned for and discussed. In our practice mega drafts, we keyed in on 2 things I wasn't valuing highly enough: lands and 2-drops. Those Destiny spinners I got were premium. So I was actually thinking about both those things during the entire draft, and the Kaldheim pack is a pretty good example where I ended up with, I think, 7 Snowlands to go with my Avalanche Caller, which was pretty clutch. Another comment in pack 1. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go through every decision, but I thought that actually those just 2 quick hits, the dual lands and making sure you eat your veggies and get your 2-drops in, is really good advice for the mega drafts. It's kind of basic cube like advice, really, but we're in an amazing time now where you can try it out for yourself. Join Miranda's Mega Draft Madness on Wednesdays. Uh, get into some mega drafts, fight your way into the Player of the Year tournament through mega drafts. Does it get any better than that? I think that's a super super fun side event and a great thing for the league. So I just want to say thanks again to John and for the well wishes from the community. It really meant a lot to me. I have really wanted to do well in one of these things for a while, so it feels great. So as I was preparing for the podcast this week, it came to my attention that the Eye of Sauron, the metaphorical representation of Sauron's influence over Middle Earth, literally watches Magic and specifically follows the Arena Gauntlet League. I couldn't believe it myself. You can imagine my surprise when they sent me a message of congratulations, and I wanted to share it here with you. So let's take a listen.
John and Chris from Runaway Team Kin. Congratulations on winning the Arena Football League. But the fight isn't over. Build me an army worthy of Mordor. You cannot hide. I see you.
Wow, pretty serious. Can you believe I got that message from Sauron himself? I'm kidding, of course. I mean, that's not actually Sauron. Sauron's a fictional character. Who do I think I'm fooling? But that is, in fact, Sala Baker. He's a New Zealander actor who played Sauron in the movies. He must have just popped into Bob's stream. Who knew? You probably noticed that he called it the Arena Football League, but that's close enough. I know a couple Kiwis, and everything that isn't rugby is football to them. Probably. But he really expects a lot out of me and John for this Lord of the Rings League. So let's see how well we respond to that intense, menacing motivation. So we got to talk about the current Lord of the Rings League. I'm recording this at about 6:25 Eastern Time on Monday, July 3rd, and your current top 8 leaderboard is as follows. In first place, we got Dan A, beat down Bringa with a record of 8-1. Raphael F. Prudent, 7-1. Steve T. Strout, 7-2. Wesley L. Westlars, 7-3. Philip B. Plipster, also 7-3. Nick S. NJS the third, I'm gonna say, 7-3. Reed P. Big effing Snake, also 7-3. And then Caleb G. 8th place, rounding it out with a 6-3 record currently. A lot of familiar faces in that top 8 there. A lot of folks that we've seen there before. So that could make it tough for the rest of us trying to crawl and scratch our way in there. And how's my league going? It's all right. I'm currently 3-2, and I've played exactly 0 of my league matches for week 2 so far. So I got some catching up to do. But I'm loving the mechanics so far. Week 2 feels like we're back into the normal Gauntlet League, playing these 60 card sealed decks. And I'm really looking forward to next week's mechanic. I think it's going to be super fun. We've got a new color pair every match, and it can only be 2 colors. So I love a good puzzle to solve, and I think that's going to be a good one. The league, or the set, I should say, has thrown us an additional wrinkle into the mix with green reaching purported unplayable levels that we haven't seen before since Battle for Zendikar. So check my math, but if your green is unplayable, that removes 4 of your 10 color pairs as choices for you. So, I mean, maybe you only have to come up with your 5 best decks out of the 6 remaining. I'd say use that perspective as motivation. If you're short on time, all you have to do is cut 1 of your potential decks. That's not so bad. I also feel like we may see folks holding that 5th match over for the following week. So if you're playing late in the week, like I do sometimes, it may look like there are more matches available than there actually are. So me, I somehow have the most green cards in my pool by a fairly substantial margin. One of my punishment packs was like half green cards. So, come on, bot. Like, what did I do to you? So my strategy for next week is just to go game by game. I'm currently piloting a black-white build. My basic game plan is to tempt the ring quickly and then try to ride build the pony to victory. And I'm just gonna see what happens with punishment packs dictate my next move. Um, but I'm really interested if the mechanic is gonna force people into deck builds they might not have gotten to before, and maybe that even sends folks into an upward trajectory and up the standings. And looking a little bit further ahead, I think the even odd The Gyruda, Obosh deck restrictions for week 4 are going to be super fun. But what I'm not excited about, week 5, if I get there, Brawl again. In my feedback from the full Brawl League, I said I probably wouldn't do another one, but League Committee, you got me. You snuck it in, and here I am. That's just it's not how I like to play Magic. I don't play Commander. I find myself out in the real world. I meet someone who says they play Magic, and I get all excited. I'm going to make a new MTG friend. And then they tell me about a new Commander deck they just built and how this combos with that. And I feel like I barely understand it. I can barely even participate in the conversation. And, I play a decent amount of Magic. So good luck to everyone on that, but I've got no advice there. But why don't we bring on someone who always has good advice? A guest this week, none other than John P. That's right, my partner, your defending league champion, your Goku or go home. That's what you call a get in this industry. He knows a thing or two about Magic, about podcasting, about life in general, and can you believe that right here on Cast Down, your weekly podcast rundown of the Arena Gauntlet League, this is the first time he's ever going to be interviewed. So let's bring on John, and let's go to Mordor.
I'm going to Mordor alone. Of course you are. And I'm coming with you.
John, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me, Chris. First time, long time. Big fan of everything you do for the league and the show. It's just really wonderful. So thank you so much for having me on.
I really appreciate that. So let's just jump right into the questions. The first one has always got to be, when did you start playing Magic?
When did I start playing Magic? So I started playing Magic right before M14. It was either right before M14 came out or during M14. I bought a Dragon's Maze intro deck, the one that had Fathom Mage. It's a blue-green Simic Evolve deck. I played that thing a bunch with some friends, and I got really into Magic Online. And I was trying to think about it. I don't know how I got into Limited, actually. I don't know what that was. Because no one I played with played Limited. They all played Commander or Standard. And I don't know how it happened, but yeah, somehow I got into Limited. My first pre-release was Theros, regular Theros. Did not very good. Did not do well. But had fun. I remember getting the like Duels of the Planeswalker cards at like a GameStop. You would like go and be like, hey, I got this code, and they give you like a pack of cards, and it was either like a Liliana or a Scavenging Ooze, and I thought it was so cool that I could like play this video game and then go pick up a card. Just really been into Limited, haven't been into other formats too much. I've got a bunch of Commander decks that I never play. But, mostly a Limited player, and, got really Theros, basically. M14 is the set I always say, is the set I started at it, because I love M14. It's got slivers, classic core set. It was a good set to come in on, because the mechanics were nice and simple, and, yeah, I love M14.
M14, that's going back a ways. Now I understand you probably had some cards before then, but M14 is really when you started playing. Do you know what any of those earlier sets or earlier cards you might have had back in the day?
Yeah. So me and my brother collected cards as kids, probably cards that would be very expensive. I don't remember how early we went, but I definitely remember. My brother had a Jester's Cap, and it was a big deal at the time. It was, an expensive card to open in Ice Age, I think it was. But we would just open cards because they looked cool and they were scary. I don't think we ever actually played by the rules. But I had Leviathan. Let's see, let me Google it real quick.
The old 10-10.
Yeah, big boy. Just like
gotta love that.
What does this card do? It does. It's the text is a little bit ridiculous. And again, since I never really played, I don't remember ever using this card. I just remember looking at it and being like, this thing, you can't lose with this thing. It's a 10-10. Yes, it's 5 and 4 blue, 9 mana. Summon Leviathan, trample, 10-10 trample. Leviathan comes into play tapped and does not untap as normal during your untap phase. Sacrifice 2 islands during your upkeep phase to untap Leviathan. Leviathan may not attack unless you sacrifice 2 islands. So you have to sack 2 lions to untap it, 2 islands to attack with it. Looking at it now, not a good card.
Yeah, unplayable. But it was a 10-10, you know?
It's a 10-10. I remember thinking that this was like the coolest thing. The coolest was, oh.
Yeah. I no joke. I think that I built an Esper deck in the like revised 4th edition era, just because I had a bunch of big dumb black and white and blue creatures. It's just like Lords of the Pit and Leviathan.
Yeah.
But that served me pretty well because I still have some Esper duels from that era. So that's not too bad.
Yeah, I have no memory of ever owning anything good. But yeah, you have you have like some duels. Like you've got like a good amount of duels from back in the day. You're one of the few people I know that like has their old cards and like their old expensive cards.
Yeah, I mean nothing was expensive. I didn't have anything nice then. It just so happened that the duels kind of they stopped printing them, and then they shot up, and my parents didn't throw them away, and but I played with them. Poof, boy, no sleeves. Dirty kid hands, the whole thing. So it's but they're in okay shape. They're sleeved up now.
Oh yeah, good. Meanwhile, I got my Leviathan worth I don't know, the 30 cents or whatever.
Okay, so we got to know, where does the name Goku or Go Home come from?
Ah, yeah, the name Goku or Go Home is old. It's a very old name. I think I made it up when I was like 16. So we're talking like 22 years ago. I was really into anime in high school, and this was back when like Dragon Ball Z was you couldn't watch it. This was before it was on Cartoon Network. It was on like the international channel in Japanese, not dubbed, on Friday nights. And they were in the Namekian saga. So we would watch Dragon Ball Z in Japanese. Had no idea what was really going on. Couldn't understand it. It's not subtitled. And then, started buying some of the VHS tapes, like the first, Arrival and all that stuff. And, like, that was my intro into anime, and I was really into it at the time. Also really into video games. I was playing a lot of Counter-Strike 1.6, I think, is what was out then. And that's when I first learned, that's when I first made my first gamer tag, which I still use to this day, Goku or Go Home. And I would make my own, Counter-Strike sprays that were like Goku's face. It said like Goku or Go Home at the bottom. And I've always used that name for like video game stuff. And of course it's, it's symbolic. It means it's a pun on Go Big or Go Home, but means the same thing, right? Because Goku is this guy that always goes Super Saiyan, goes crazy, and has to beat up and defeat the enemy. And like he has to do it all by himself. He always goes Super Saiyan 2, 3, 4, whatever. And that's what it means. You gotta go Super Saiyan, or you're not gonna win. And try to bring that attitude to every Magic game I play. Right?
I love it. I mean, you could do a lot worse with coming up with your first sort of gamer tag nickname as a teenager. For instance, you could have chosen Sinkwater as that. Which is how I got mine. I was trying to come up with a something water name for my first AOL Instant Messenger screen name. And it got to the point where, but I was trying to come up with one that you didn't have to put numbers or any
Sure, the first one,
just like a straight thing. So I got to a point where I was just throwing everything in there, and surprisingly, no one had taken Sinkwater.
Nice.
So.
See that?
And still, no one ever has.
We're still using these names. It's great.
So stupid.
The issue with mine is that I like anime, but I haven't really watched anime in a long time. And Dragon Ball Z has also come back like multiple times. So a lot of times people are like, "Oh man, don't you love Goku? Don't you love what's going on in Goku Black and Dragon Ball Super?" And I'm like, "Dude, I haven't watched Dragon Ball in 15 years. I don't know what you're talking about." Like, it's just a funny name I made up a long time ago.
Yeah, that's great though. I mean, it's relevant, it's still good. Still good.
Fun.
I like it.
It's a fun time, right? We're all having fun.
Yeah, we're all having fun, and I understand that you have some fun by podcasting. I hear you have some serious podcasting skills.
I do. I have a I have I actually made a podcast today that no one in the league will be interested in. I guarantee 1,000%. But I have a fantasy football podcast that I do, and I'm starting to get ready for fantasy football season. So I wanted to get my head into a football headspace. So I recorded a full feature-length commentary for the movie 80 for Brady, which is on Paramount Plus.
Oh my god.
It's it's me watching 80 for Brady for an hour and a half and talking about it. And you can listen to that if you look up The Fox Den, Foxden, aka The Mothman Minute. It's a very long title. It's very hard to find. And you can only find that on SoundCloud, actually, because it was too long for me to upload to the actual podcast site.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I do a fantasy football podcast, and sometimes I do like a goofy magic podcast.
Well, and so if I remember right, you started the fantasy football one as a Sacco punishment. If you're a fantasy football person, that means you came in dead last in the league.
Yeah, I lost, and I've been dead last a lot. I've never won. I'm not good. I've been in the same fantasy football group for like 15 years. It's like a bunch of old friends. We get together once a year and go to a game. It's super fun. But I've been in the same league for a long time. We keep all the stats. It's a whole big thing. I've only made the playoffs like 3 times. I've been in last. I'm the losingest team, and it's not even close. Like, it's bad. I think it's like an almost like 0.35 win record or something. Yeah, I lost one year, and my punishment was that I had to do a podcast about it for a year, a weekly podcast, which was very hard in the off season when nothing was really going on, but then was really fun during the year. And it was, it's similar to Hunt the Week, which is like, I make drops and I bring people on. It's a lot shorter, and it's a lot quicker, and it's a lot more vulgar, too. And it's also like, it's not about fantasy football. It's about the league. Like how Hunt the Week is about our league. It's not really about magic, right? It's not about how to play or how to be good, or even like the formats we play. It's about the league, and that podcast is the same way. So it's about the 11 other people, and we all play characters. None of us are ourselves. We're all, it's all a big thing, and it's been going on for a long time. It's super fun. But yeah, the Fox Den, aka the Mothman Minute, is another podcast I do, and we'll be doing soon once football season starts back up. If anybody wants to listen to that, I won't promote it much because it's super weird. But yeah, 80 for Brady. Go ahead and watch it with me.
So you got to be into the triple digits for shows on that one, don't you think?
Well, I started not doing it in the off season, so my numbers are down. I think I'm at number like 10. Yeah, I'm in the triple digits. I'm at 106, 107, something like that. But I also haven't done one of those shows in like 5 or 6 months because it's just too much. It allows me to put more time into Hunt the Week, which is nice.
Well, and I was curious. So how much time do you devote each week to getting Hunt the Week ready to go?
How much time? So I have a formula. I have a formula not just for like how I record the show, but how I record each series of shows, which I don't know if people notice it, but I like to always start with a league committee member to come on and explain the rules. Then I like to get someone who's doing well in the league to kind of talk about how the league is and like how they're doing well. Then I like to get a new player on to talk about the new player experience and what that is like. And then I like to close it out with people, usually people in the top 8 or top 16 that are making a push. So there's like a formula to who I bring on usually. And there's also a formula to recording, which is that I record the interview part first before I record anything else. I usually record that on the weekend. That takes like an hour, 45 minutes, usually something like that. And then maybe 15 to 20 minutes of like messaging people to try and find someone who can come on and has like a schedule that I can work with. Then on like Wednesday or Thursday, I record the stuff that's not the interview, which is like the up top part and the closing out the show, the outro. And if I have any like songs, the last song was actually super fast. The Michael Jackson song I did in like an hour. And there's a trick to the songs which I'm learning, which is first you have to pick a song. Like that's the hardest part, is picking the song, and it usually has to be something really popular that lots of people know, right? Like I don't want to pick anything too weird or too niche or obscure. But I'm also not into popular music and haven't been for a long time, so I don't know what like the pop hits of the last 5 to 10 years probably are.
I think it's safe to avoid those, right? No one's gonna know that.
And the thing is, you got to figure out the hook, which is like the chorus. Once you figure out the chorus, and like I think about it for like 20, 30 minutes, like if it gets stuck in my head, it's a good one. And then the rest of the song I usually just like sit down and write. With rhymes that come up with like the first rhyme, cool, done, go to the next run. Like I don't try and make it perfect. But the last song was like less than an hour from like conception to like recording. And then I never even used the recording because I ended up doing that show live. But
I was gonna say, was that extra stressful trying to knock that out live?
It was terrible. Yeah, it was awful. I don't know. It's live is actually not too bad because I can kind of pretend that I'm still alone in a room with a microphone, right? Like, if it was like a stage and like people were watching, it would be a little different. But I can still kind of pretend that I'm alone doing my own thing as long as everyone's quiet on a computer screen. So it wasn't too bad, but oh man, yeah, no, I'm not a performer or a singer, obviously. I mean.
I don't know why you're saying obviously. I think you're doing great.
Normally it's like three-ish hours a week, and then more if I do more stuff, basically.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I mean it's great. It's a great addition to the league, and it's one of I listen to a lot of podcasts, and as soon as that one pops up in the feed, it gets priority seating. I go right to it. So. I definitely always look forward to it.
It's fun. I love doing it. Like it's a lot of fun. As long as people want to come on and talk Magic, I won't stop doing it. Like it's just a good time.
So before we got some crowdsourced questions, but I think we're here to talk about the league. So let's do that. Let's talk about maybe past leagues, and I kind of want to find out where you're at currently with the Lord of the Rings League.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk. You want to talk a little bit about the partner league, the Neo League we won, champions?
Oh, let's just beat this horse to death. Let's talk about it a little bit more. This will be our swan song.
I know.
For
sorry, everyone. I do have to indulge both of us on your show. I mean, how can you not talk about winning at least a little bit?
Right, it's my show. Let's do it.
So the league itself, we broke it up. I had the good deck, you had the bad deck. That went pretty well. Like you said, you only weren't around for like a few games. The first game against Cody, with the weird stip wheel, you weren't there for. And then in the last week, when we were kind of stressing out to get our last few games in, because we weren't sure if we were going to get, like iced out or not, we kind of started playing games without the other person when we could.
Yep.
And won those games, which was awesome.
Yeah, pretty important.
Yeah, those are some pretty stressful games. So we end up doing good enough to lock up the top 8. Goes great. Comes to scheduling. Scheduling's a nightmare. Never schedule a top 8. It's not fun. It's so not fun.
No, it was not fun. Turns out, not fun.
Yeah, it's trying to schedule. People don't know this that haven't done it, and because that was the thing, is that there were 4 people that had never made top 8, so none of them knew how to schedule anything. And everyone else wasn't a league committee member, so no one really cared to try because there was nobody in charge. Which kind of, no one tried scheduling until very late. It all made it a little difficult, but it all worked out. Then we ended up saying we'll play late one night. And again, Bob, I watched Bob's stuff this week. Finally, it was so cool. So thank you so much, not only for doing it, but I just love watching Bob commentate. Super great at it. I love his style and attitude. Super fun to watch.
Yeah, I thought it was great too. I'll just jump in and say Bob did a great job. It was super fun, and not just since I got to watch myself play, but hope we see more of that because I think it was great. It was really fun to see.
Yeah, super. And like it wasn't planned at all. Like it was last minute. Hey, Chris wanted me to try to record everything on my end because I do stuff like that sometimes. I was like, my computer will die. I can't do that and try to do other things. Richard wasn't around to do his normal thing, so Bob really stepped up and like knocked it out of the park. doing the draft and playing the games was hard. It was very hard to like draft 2 decks at once, kind of. We did a few practices, and like our the only plan we really had was make sure you let the clock run down to 0 and just have something selected that you think you would want. So like you have time to pop in on the other person, or they have time to pop into you and take a look at what was going on. But that was hard. It was hard to go back and forth.
It
on
was.
screens.
It was really stressful, and it's hard to you're sort of building your deck as you go, and it's really hard to build a deck in your brain, like a second deck, too. So I know I felt a lot of times when it would be like pack 4 or something, and it would be like, hey, what do you think about this pick? I sort of have to think, okay, well, what's the game plan for the deck? What's it all doing? And that actually became really hard to track.
Yeah, because it's hard to keep track of what you already have. Like if it's pack 4 and I'm coming over to look at something for you, I don't know if you have enough 2-drops or not. That might not be something I'm thinking about. I'm just looking at the pack and thinking like, what's the best card versus what colors you're in, not like what does your deck need, because I have been paying too much attention to your deck because I'm drafting my own deck over here that maybe isn't going great, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing still.
Yeah.
So it was fun, but it was a lot harder than we expected, and I'm really glad we did like 2 or 3 practices, and I think that really helped us figure out our flow for like how to do that, because it was not simple or easy.
No, but it was fun. I would do it again too.
Oh yeah, it was super fun, but it was different than a normal Mega Draft, right? And like you said earlier, the timers stressed me out. The timers in the games and the timers in the draft. Playing the games was also like, it was really hard for us to be like, there were times you'd say, hey, pop over and tell me what to do, and I'd be like, I can't, I'm in a stressful situation, and like I need to know what to do right now, and like my clock's going down or something. Like it was a lot harder to kind of help the other person during the Mega Draft, which is I mean, it makes sense, but it wasn't something we had really planned for, I think.
No, it was hard to practice for that, and so yeah, we kind of just had to roll with it. But I want to say too, I think that having you at least there to hey, I can check in, just that alone relieved a lot of stress for me. I was feeling pretty good going into it, and I think maybe the opposite might have been true for you. I wanted to ask you about that. Did you feel the extra pressure of having to keep an eye on 2 things going on?
I did, but at the same time, I trust you to draft a deck and play it. Like it's not it's a team, right? Like I wouldn't have you as my teammate if I didn't trust you to like win games and draft and play well, because like I know that you will. So like I'm not really there to keep an eye on you. It's more like I want to make sure that we're not playing the 2 what was the 10 mana 8/8 Vince Slaughter
Leviathan.
Nah.
Oh, you mean the one that actually was going to play?
Yeah, you almost played 2 of them, and even in Bob's draft, he's like, "Look at that, there it is." I was like, "No, Bob, no."
Yeah, I was sort of just joking around with you on those, but maybe that wasn't the time and place for that. Oh, what was, I can't remember the name of the
it's like Slim Voda or
Slim. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I kept those.
It's a giant blue
You're
creature
like, you're
that
not
bounces
playing
stuff.
those. I'm like, I don't know. I might play them.
Oh my gosh. But no, I didn't feel like I was keeping an eye on you or I knew that we were both gonna like have a good plan and do a good job.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, it was a lot of fun, and maybe I think we'll take another crack at it next time this comes around for sure.
Oh yeah, it's the kind of thing where it's like I kind of hated it the whole time we were doing it, and until we got to the end and won. Now it's like, oh yeah, let's do it again.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. Okay, so let's put past leagues in the past. How's your current league going?
Okay is the answer. So
okay,
I had a bad week 1. I went 1-4. And I was like not really into the format. I was too busy in our Neo thing that like I normally do like a few drafts. I did a couple, but not enough to really know what was like going on. And my head was just so in Neo, and then we won, and like it was a nice thing, but I couldn't couldn't transition from one format to the other. So, and also, I don't
Yeah, same.
I don't know what it was about 40 cards instead of 60 cards. I'm used to 60 cards, and my deck is just not a 40 card deck. But this week 2, 4-1. So I evened it out. I almost went 5-0. I lost my last game of the week to Tresky's, but all of a sudden I'm like feeling good about my deck again. And I'm like, wow, I actually had a pretty positive week. Maybe I went from the bottom 10 to the top 30, which is I'm in the money right now, I think. So it was a nice week for me, actually.
Yeah, that's a huge turnaround. I mean, you're in it, right? You're back in it.
I went from 1-4, which is one of the worst things you can have. Now I'm 5-5. Like, okay. And I think it's funny. You don't like Brawl. I just want to get to Brawl Week. That's my goal. I love the Brawl, and my critique is it's too late in the league. I don't know that I'm gonna make it. The same thing happened last time we did one of the Plains Chase. Brawl happened real late. Now I didn't get to play in it. I want to play Brawl. Now I just want to make it to that week because I've got a great commander. I've got Frodo, 1-drop commander. Oh, it's gonna be so good.
I don't even have any thought as to who my commander would be. I have no. I don't know that I'll make it, but I just will have no. I definitely will only play 4 matches that week if I get there.
See, my plan is to play 4 the week before, just to make sure I get there and have get to play as much Brawl as I can.
Yeah, I bet a lot of people are going to do that. I think I do like that they reduce the you can't carry 2 matches over, you can only carry 1, and I think people are going to be able to utilize that to their advantage to whatever restriction they're more into. So
yeah, I think you get to pick your week, right? You get to pick one week where you're like, okay, I'm gonna give that week one less game, and whichever one it is, whether it's the color pair or the odds or evens or Brawl or probably not the last week. Guess you can't do that, but any of the others.
Yeah. Are you scheming on your 2-color strategy yet?
I am super happy about that because I wasn't sure what deck I was playing going into this week, so I built 3 or 4 different decks, and then the deck I played did really well, so I'm happy with that. Mm-hmm. But now I get to just play those 3 other decks I built and figure out which one was right or wrong. I'm kind of excited about it actually, because I also don't have any crazy rares in any colors. My best rare is probably the File of Galadriel or whatever, which is a colorless mana rock. I can play that in any of my decks. So I get to keep playing my strong cards, and really I just get to play white, white blue, white black, white red, then probably red black, and then the last one will be, it's just everything but green is kind of what I'm doing. I think
it's a bummer. I think that's not going to be an uncommon strategy, right?
I haven't done a ton of drafts, but I've only drafted green once, and I think I did okay. I went 2-1, and I still have not drafted blue once. So,
wow!
I don't know. It's a weird format. I'm just Mardu all the time.
I don't know. I think if you could set up some go late Simic big things, you're into that too, right?
I mean, yeah, I'm
Draw
into
a bunch
it.
Of cards.
Fathom Mage, well, I'm here for it. And I know it's blue. I know blue's good. I don't know that green is really. I was looking at the numbers today for green, and it's abysmal compared to the other colors.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. That's what they're saying anyway. That's what the experts are saying.
That's what the kids are saying, and you got to listen to them.
All right, you want to get into some questions from the league members?
Let's go ahead and do it.
Okay. So, from Ryan D, might be your nemesis, I'm not sure. Nah, he has a great question. He says, would you rather win an Arena Open or go on a legendary 20-0, let's call it 19-1 run and win Lord of the Rings Gauntlet League?
I'd rather win money, I think.
Yeah. Do you hop into those? Do you
I do, and I do okay, actually. I think I day 2'd more than half of the ones I've done. Usually when I do them, it's kind of I never know they're coming, but they're usually on a day I have off. And halfway through the day, I'm like, oh, do I want to spend $30 to try and do this? And then usually if the answer is yes, and I've day two'd a bunch, but I've never made it to money. I've never made it into the money part. I don't think I've ever made it to the second draft of day two, but I've gotten pretty close. I've gotten close enough to make me want to keep doing it. I didn't do it this time because I'm not that super into this format, but I do them sometimes, like every now and then.
Do you hop into the? Do you stream and get people's advice in the league?
I usually don't. I usually do it by myself. I'm a loner. I kind of just do my own thing when it comes to those.
Just want to focus up and
Yeah,
you know.
and usually there's a bunch of people doing it separately, or like there's 3 people going at the same time, and like I don't want to split people's attention, and I also don't want to wait for people to play so I can play. I just like if I want to play, I'm just gonna play right now, and then if I day 2, I'll do it. I'll start doing help stuff, but usually not in day 1.
Yeah, that makes sense. From Emmett F, he asks, and I'm going to modify this question a little bit, but he wants to know what your favorite non-Magic game is to play together. And so I'll jump in and say, we see each other infrequently enough that when we do get together, we're only playing Magic.
Yeah, I don't think the only game we've maybe ever played is Call of Duty Warzone, maybe, or Fortnite, one of those two.
We have definitely played those together. I guess yeah, that's true. That's a good answer. But I'm gonna modify it and ask you, what's your favorite non-Magic game that you and your partner play?
Ooh, we play a ton of Overwatch. We play a lot of Overwatch. If I'm not playing Magic, I'm probably playing Overwatch with my girlfriend. She loves it. I love it. Play a lot of shooters. You know, I used to play a bunch of Fortnite. I'm playing Diablo right now. That's been pretty fun. I really like all the roguelikes. I like roguelikes a lot, especially the card ones. I liked Inscription a whole bunch. Was really fun. Hades. I love Hades, that game. Elden Ring. I mean, I can play Elden Ring forever. I like all those Dark Souls things. Boy, I feel like I just named 1,000 games. Oh, and I recently got a Steam Deck, and I've been playing through like old Super Nintendo games like Chrono Trigger and stuff that I really like, and that's been a dream. So fun and so cool.
That's awesome. All right, so a lot of good choices for people to pick from there. We had a couple questions from Damien. Only one of them was really a serious question, but I'm actually going to address one of the not so serious questions.
Oh, interesting.
He asked who could eat a 69 card deck the fastest in a Fear Factor style elimination. And I only wanted to bring it up because we're recording this on Monday, the day before the 4th of July, the day before the hot dog eating contest, the pinnacle of American gluttony and showmanship. And I love it. I used to go to it when I lived in New York. I think the whole, the 10 minutes where they're actually eating hot dogs is disgusting. But the rest of it is super fun. They really it's really campy, and they make a whole thing out of it. So I know it's going to be too late, but I hope people watch it. And I've actually tried this. So here's how I'm going to turn the question on you before. So the rules of the game are you have to eat hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes.
Okay.
So how many do you think you could do, John?
I've seen them do it. I know the strategy of like you dip the bun in the water, and yeah. I'm sure I can eat a few hot dogs. I think in 10. Here's the thing. I would probably just eat like 6. And just be full. I don't think I can stuff myself. Like 6 or 7 is what I think, and that sounds like a lot. I know the world record's like 50 or whatever, but
oh no, the world record is 76.
Yeah,
currently.
Yeah. I don't think I'm breaking 10. I don't think I could.
Well, it's funny you say 6 because I've done this with some friends, and I took it seriously. I really tried my best, and I got 6.5.
Yeah,
sounds
about right.
It's a speed thing, really. You don't think about how fast you have to shovel. I don't know. It's crazy. Those guys, that's not 76. So I don't know. So John basically got it right on the money as to how many I was able to do. So I think it'd be a pretty good race as to who could eat.
Let's do it. Next new player mixer live on the pod.
Let's see how many cards we can eat.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that'll be great. But Damien's real question was, since we're longtime friends, can you say something about each other that the league does not know? I'll put you on the spot first.
Yeah, I have a very big Magic card. I have a giant Magic card. But the league may not know. It's a Steam Vents. It used to be my profile picture in the league. It was for a long time. Hasn't been for a while now, though. Won it at a GP. Big story. Like, went to a GP. Me, Chris, my brother, we used to go to GPs when they had them once or twice a year and just play side events. Sometimes main event if it was a team event or a limited, but those are rare, so we didn't do a lot of them. I won a big Steam Vents one year. But you may not know that Chris also has a giant Magic card. Right? Chris
I do.
Chris has his own similar story of winning a big giant card and having a big giant card. He just doesn't display it as proudly as I did.
I think maybe we have to update our icons here, and maybe I'll switch over to my giant Elspeth Conquers Death.
Yeah, you have a big Elspeth Conquers Death card, and when we post this episode, maybe we can post the pictures of us with our cards. But yeah, you've got a big giant Magic card.
All right, that is true. So I guess if the question's turned on me, I thought about a couple things, and one, I was thinking, we used to live pretty close to each other, and I don't think we ever played Magic together when we actually lived within 15 miles or so of each other. Back when you were living in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, I lived in Brooklyn. You lived in New Jersey.
Yep. So that's kind of a bummer. But I was thinking too. I asked you last week about if you'd get a Magic tattoo. And I'm hoping maybe some folks will come on and share if they have any cool, like, nerdy tattoos. But I wanted to talk about you and your brother both really like this tattoo artist named Miles Carr. And you have a couple, I believe, tattoos of the most dangerous game, where you walk in with no ideas. He's got a booklet of pre-drawn stencils. You roll 2 dice that pick anything out of his 500, design booklet, and then you roll a 3rd dice for how they're going to be modified together. And I just think it's the coolest thing. The guy has this really unique style, and it's just interesting to, you're like, I'm going to get a tattoo from this guy, and I have no idea what it's going to be.
Yes, I love me some Miles. I'm actually looking up his Instagram handle right now. So if we're gonna give him a plug, let's give him the proper.
Hey, let's plug him. Why not?
I want to make sure we get his Instagram handle just right. It's Miles Carr, MYLESKARR, and yeah, he draws these crazy surrealist images. He has a very creepy but traditional kind of tattoo style. And yeah, he's awesome because I hate picking things. Most of my tattoos, it took me forever to decide what they were, or I just get a cool tattoo that the artist has up. I'm like, yep, I want that. I don't want to come up with something. And Miles makes that so easy, and his tattoos are awesome. They're always super cool. Got one very recently on my last trip to New York. But yeah, I love his art. I think it's so cool, and it's also very affordable. And he's also the nicest. Like I lived in New York I moved away 5 years ago, and I lived there for 4 years. And I got 2 tattoos from him. And then I went back like 3 months ago, and he remembered me. He talked about things that I brought up when I saw him 5 years ago. It's not like I've talked to him in the last 5 years. It's like, what a personable person. I mean, I've gotten a lot of tattoos. I don't think any of my other tattoo artists would remember anything about me at all. But this guy, he's asking me about my brother. My brother sees him a lot, gets tattoos too. But like, I don't know. He's such a nice guy, such a cool guy. And I love his style and his like unique thing that he does. If you are in New York City, please meet up with him. It is so affordable and such a good. If you like tattoos, go get yourself some crazy thing from him. It's so cool.
Yeah, he's great, and I've gone with your brother to when he gets a tattoo, and he remembers me too, and I'm just sitting there.
Yeah.
Hanging along. He's just the nicest guy.
Yeah, super nice guy, and it's fun to talk to, and yeah, it's so cool.
Okay, so Steve T has a question, and I gotta say, I love these questions. They break my brain every time, and it's really hard for me to follow. But here's your rules question. Um, Astarte controls a runaway Steamkin with 3 counters on it. Parhelion 2 and no untapped lands. Nickel controls an anointed peacekeeper which named Parhelion 2. Can Astarte's Steamkin crew Parhelion 2?
Okay, so I did the classic thing of not looking this up beforehand, so I'm going to try and figure this out very quickly. I know what Parhelion 2 is. It's a vehicle. Crew 4. Okay. Crew 4, the Steamkin has 3 counters on it, so it's got 4 power. And spells your opponent's caster have activated abilities of sources with the chosen name cost 2 more. And you know what? I know the answer to this question because of something that happened during Neo League.
Oh, all right, let's hear it.
I don't know if Steve's doing that on purpose or not.
Oh, I hope so.
Because Steve was actually there. It's a crew cost. What card did we have? It was we had it was in your deck, I think, and we had it's Intercessor's Arrest or some kind of pacifism that said like, you know, enchanted creature can't activate activated abilities, and they had the 2/1 flying artifact vehicle that you like crew 2, and that thing was just chipping in forever against us. And you had that card, and you went to cast it, and we're like, wait, is this? We couldn't figure out like, is crewing an activated ability? So we had a rules question about whether or not it was a rule that we could or could not, and indeed, crewing is an activated ability. So yes, they could not cast it unless they have 2 extra mana. So even if they could like take the 2 counters off of the runaway Steamkin to give them the 2 mana. Ooh, does that work? No, I don't think.
Well, so the question is about crewing, specifically about the crewing.
Ooh, so yeah, so then the question is, it's crew 4. They crew it for 4, and then the trigger goes on the stack. Can you take off the counters from the Steamkin? Does it still count as a 4-power creature? I think. Oh, this is so tough. This is harder than I thought it was. I think it would work. No. Because then you would take off the counters. Because you crew it when it's 4 mana, but then you pay for it and it's not. I think it would work. But it might not. I'm bad at these. I'm not good at these.
I can't wait till we hear the answer, because I think that the main crux of the question was the crew cost, which would now be 6 because of the anointed peacekeeper.
Well, crew isn't a mana ability, so the crew cost is 4, but you have to pay 2 mana.
Is that how it would work? Oh.
That's how I'm reading it, but I could be wrong. I mean, name costs 2 more. 2, yeah, I think that's how that works. There's a cost 2 more mana, and it's not crew 6. It's crew 4 plus 2 colorless. But then, I mean, it's if you don't have mana and I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe you're right.
He did specify that we were tapped out, so maybe that is an important part.
That if he specified, then I think it is like a, can you crew and also take off the counters to pay? And I think you can, but I don't know. That's a good one. I love these.
I love them too. That's
and
great.
There's also probably like 5 jokes in there about the names that I'm just missing. I realized he's been doing all kinds of weird things with like people's names and specific cards that like, you know, he's using his brain. Steve's so good.
Yeah, I can't wait for the reveal on this because I don't get the names either.
Parhelion 2, there's 2 of us, partner league. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, got our namesake in there, the Steamkin, but that's a fun card.
That's always been a fun, good card.
And speaking of that, so Caleb snuck 2 questions in. The first one is, what is the Steamkin running away from?
He's running away from himself. That's what's going on there.
Wow. Okay.
It's deep.
It is. And then, what is the best play that a non-playing teammate spotted?
This was really tough, and I don't know if you had any good answers for this, because I don't know. It's hard for me to look back and think of like what was the best play that like the other person saw. There was a lot of very good plays. There was some favorites were farewelling enchantments to like swing for lethal because there's so many enchantment creatures, and that happened a couple times. It was always really fun when it happened. Or like if we do artifacts and enchantments, we get like their whole board, but we got 3 creatures left. Like that was always really cool. But the one that sticks out most to me is, and it was they had an AO with Intercessor's Arrest on it, and no other creatures. But we had like 3 or 4 like 2/2s and 3/3s and 1/1s basically, like a smattering of small creatures, and they spinning wheel kicked your entire board. And you had the turtle that can bounce a creature, and I wanted to bounce the pacified AO to like counter the spinning wheel kick, because we had lethal in like 2 turns with attacks. Like now yeah, they get to replay AO plus whatever they kind of draw, but like they're tapped out for this turn. They spinning wheel kicked us. We're gonna lose our whole board. And like that's the play I wanted to do. I was like bounce the AO, swing in, then like they're done. Our turn, we get to swing in. We had maybe 1 or 2 other cards in hand, and you're like, no, I think we take it. Like you're like, I'm fine with this. Like you, again, I don't remember what else was in your hand. I want to say you had the loop, like the turtle Season of Renewal loop. I think Season of Renewal was in the graveyard, so like you could go longer, but I wanted to just close out the game before they had time to like do anything else. Yeah, and it was just like, do you take the safe play of like, you know, keeping your board, but you're going to lose out on like some of these value cards, or do you let them wipe your board and then, you know, see if you can rebuild before they can? And you let the spinning wheel kick resolve, and I was not happy about it, and we won that game.
Yeah. I mean, that's, you know, that's the other wrinkle that the whole thing is eventually you just got to make a decision, right? So you can talk about it. And we had a few times where it was like, okay, you know, you go ahead and do that, but
there's
I don't know if
a couple keeps and a couple plays where like, I don't want to do this, and the other person will be like, yep, I'm gonna do this, and okay, well, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, I definitely was on the wrong side of convincing you into some keeps that we shouldn't have. But I tell you, I am considering things going forward differently, and I think I'm making better keeps as a result of it. So, you know,
keep a good 7 or a good 6. You know, I put it in the show for a reason. You gotta keep hands. In fact, I did a Lord of the Rings draft today. I went 7 and 2. The 2 games I lost were sketchy keeps. You know, like maybe it could have been a 7-0 run, but I kept a couple sketchers and didn't get there.
Yeah, so I guess you're saying just listen all the way to the end, huh?
I tried to. I mean, I that was something we talked about and learned, though, is that like I like safe plays, and like I think bouncing the turtle is a safer play, or bouncing the AO is a safer play, and I think you like riskier plays. You'll keep riskier hands and you'll do riskier lines. We're all too more like, I think this is safe, and I think this is, you know, I think that's something that I definitely learned about the two of us in this league, which I think was a good compliment to each other, actually.
It was good. I think that's definitely true for the keeps. I don't know about... I actually think bouncing the AO was the riskier line, because I was like, I don't think we can beat this if it comes back down and can rumble. At least that was my thought process. So I actually thought using the turtle, which I think we needed, and then also having AO come back down, I actually thought that was risky. So I don't know.
It worked out. So
hey, it worked out. It all worked out.
Well, thank you so much for having me on your show, Chris. I am a big fan of the Cut Down. I listen to it every week. The things you do, the time you must put in, it's phenomenal. And thank you so much.
Thanks, John. Yeah, you know, it's Cast Down. It's a podcast. It's not Cut Down. It's
Cast Down. Sorry, Cast Down, not Cut Down. Cast Down. That's a card too, right? Yeah, that's a good card.
Cast Down. Yeah, it's a good one.
Much better than Cut Down, I think. Yeah. Good luck this week, Chris.
You too, man. And that'll do it for the show. Thanks again to John P. What a great conversation. Some great answers to some of those questions. So, go get your matches in, everyone. Do as I say and not as I do. Play those matches early and often, as they say. And I hope you draw the right ratio of lands to spells. And I hope you've made the correct offerings to the bot gods, because I can't figure them out. They are not happy with me, apparently. So, good luck. Have fun, and I'll see you next week.
Winning the league and getting him and his partner. Of course, John did an excellent job as well tonight. But overall, 3-0 from Chris. Wow.